magazines that come to our house once or twice per week. It doesn't mean that I have to
Read, 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 read. That's the way to to learn English. Is just reading. Reading is the most powerful tool to acquire knowledge through the language and by the language. I consider reading and listening the same thing, just consuming, or in other words, input. Input is the way to acquire any language. If you focus inputting and not without ever concern about output, you acquire English. You acquire. I just mixture English com language. Acquire English. Read and listen, understand messages. The famous and outrageous researcher Steve Krashen said in 1980s that only one way, you have only one way, you need only one way to learn any language. Comprehensible input to acquire any language. To be able to get better in the language, you have to focus on input. It's different of passive input. Passive input, it's not comprehensible input. Incomprehensible input, it's not comprehensible input. Many people who criticize Steve Krashen, he is talking about another thing, which is comprehensible, compelling input. It's active input, and not passive and incomprehensible input, which is most of what people criticize about Steve Krashen without reading any of his works. I see that even people who read his works try to manipulate it, to distort what he say. That's not cool. Uncool. It's
If you're not reading books, articles, or magazines so far, start right now. It's going to enhance your confidence. The third thing that is helping.
okay. That's very interesting because that's the way to learn any language. You read a phrase, a sentence, and you have some words. If you know some words in this phrase, okay, it's cool. If you have some unknown word in this phrase, you translate that. And what you do if you find another word in the text which is unknown to you? You translate that as well. And over time, the translation becomes unnecessary. And you could redirect the text and you have only a few words in the text which is unknown. And something interesting about that is if you read an unknown word between known words, it becomes like you are able to grab part of the meaning without any translation. The more you read, the more the word becomes self-explanatory. You don't need to translate everything, but the translation, it's a kind of a shortcut to allows you to understand the text, and over time it becomes less necessary. In the translation, it's a good way to understand a language which you don't understand yet. In the one technique which I love to use is the cross reading, which means that you read in a language and listen in another language. And one of these languages could be comprehensible language, and another language could be let's say not so comprehensible language. And I use that vice versa. I read in Russian and listen in English, and I listen in Russian and read in English. That's the cross reading technique. You use another language which you understand to be able to comprehend that language. And over time, of course, you are able to read and listen in the language itself, in the target language itself. And it becomes more comprehensible over time.
For example, this is my dictionary in Dutch, and I'm keeping it every single week. So I'm trying to update it whenever I encounter a word that I don't know.
It's very interesting that she used Dutch as an example to learn English, because her English, it's almost like a native language. She speak about another language where she is not so advanced as English language. That's very interesting. I could use that as well. Just use Russia as an example to explain that as well.
So I'm writing just one translation of one.
Translation is only a tip. You don't need to have a very profound, deep explanation of each word, because even if you ask to you a word in your native language, you are not able to define so well many of the words you use in a daily basis. I see that what you need to do is reading, because reading is self-explanatory. The more you read, the better you become, and the better you become, the easier become the reading.
So I found an offline course, Dutch course, that I will need to go there every week, once a day, and be in a class with other students who are learning Dutch. I was exposed to teachers' feedback.
That's a good thing to know, because in your group, it's online group, okay? That's a good tip to bring to people, to speak with non-native learners of the same language. It's not the goal here. It's not to acquire language through these people, but have motivation through these people, which means that it's very cool to see many people with the same goal speaking in the exchange ideas, and that brings you the motivation to study by yourself in your home by watching YouTube videos. YouTube is the best resource to acquire any language, and you have another resources like ChatGPT, for example. But the motivation factor is important. She said everything about that, because by yourself try to learn a new language, that's pretty hard to keep with this language. For myself, I try to attend to meetings in Russian language, and by myself, even with this opportunity, sometimes I not, let's say, very consistent with this habit to learning Russian every day. That's the problem with the human beings. Human beings, it's not the being like Sid. Okay, it's another meme. When you have another human beings, you get the motivation to study with the actually native material, which you can easily find on YouTube and the main places. Use ChatGPT and other resources everywhere. The resources, language resources everywhere. You can see that everywhere, literally.
That commitment, that class was already in my agenda. It was already in my schedule, and I was building.
It's important to notice that you learning the language by yourself in studying, reading and listening, understanding messages by yourself using resources in your computer. What's the point of the class? The point of the class is get a motivation. I trying another manners to another ways to get motivation online, for example, by your own group. Below this video, you can get a motivation speaking with other people who has the same goal than you, the same goal that you to acquire the English language. That's why I record these videos.
I gotta tell you, the progress is slow, but it's steady and consistent, and this is exactly what you need.
It's normal to be slow, because to be faster if you're learning, you need to, let's say, to ignore everything in your life. You have to be like a eremite, or I don't know how to say that in English. It's a kind of a sage, an old man in the mountains. Don't have any kind of appointments. It's normal to be slow, and that's not a problem, because Netherlands, it's a country where you speak English normally.
By the way, I'm super excited to share that my company and I launched our own English school. This school is dedicated.
I recommend, because that's could be a good thing for motivate yourself, and it is in her video. I will put the link in this video to you to get to this video to her channel to see her course in the she speaks about IELTS, TOEFL exams, and it could be very interesting for some people. You could check her channel below this video. I will put some link to her channel in this video.